Hello everyone. Welcome back to, I'm always tempted when I do these to say Britain's Hangout Hour, but it's not. It's just, I'm here today with EpicTalez and Dan from Black and Blue Collar Reader, and I decided recently to read Beyond Redemption from Michael R. Fletcher. So I told these two guys, who I know are big fans of this book, I said, "Hey guys, do you want to hang out and talk about this book for a little bit?" And they're like, "Yeah." So that's what we're doing.
Absolutely, we do.
Also, I
You know?
love Dan's review of this book. It's freaking hilarious. Go watch it. It's great. His
Now,
dog's
now,
ass is in it.
Epics is pretty fucking dope too. You got to go
Oh
check
yeah,
that
and
one
his
out.
motion comics are also pretty good too. Just yeah.
Oh, thank you. Really, really appreciate that. I feel like Beyond Redemption doesn't have enough discussions on BookTube. Like, is that fair to say? I feel like there aren't enough people talking about it. And while I understand it's kind of like it's very dark, very grim dark, very
Disgusting.
special, very disgusting. Disgusting is just one word to describe it. But yeah, I feel like there's a lot to dissect in this book. Just
Oh
from a pure like fan of everything dark, grim dark, fantasy, like story, like even from a writing perspective, it can be dissected on so many levels.
oh yeah, definitely. I actually had first heard of this book. I don't know if you guys had a similar. You guys are fans of slowly read because that's where I first heard of this book, and I thought,
Yep.
man, that's really cool. I want to check that out. So I bought it and I sat on it for a few years, or maybe not a few years, but like a year maybe. And I'm like, you know what? This September, I'm just gonna read it, and I'm gonna tell Epic and Dan about it, and we're gonna talk about it. So now we're here. Well, I was like, okay, like I finished it last night. So what do you guys think? And they're like, we can just do it now. And I'm like, oh, okay. And I'm like, oh, okay. I do have some thoughts on this book though. I don't want to say I haven't read any book like Beyond Redemption, but very few have I read are as visceral as this book is. Oh my god, like
I mean, it's a unique concept, at least with his magic system that you find in this book. If listen, this is, I mean, I guess this is going to be packed full of spoilers. Yes.
oh yeah, we're spoiling the
Yeah.
crap out
I
of
mean,
this. So
I
don't.
figured. I should warn you guys in case you haven't read this book, but I do have warnings in my video. Go check that out. Anyway, shameless plug. What the fuck, Dan? Um, um, I thought this was interesting, and the magic system, being based around mental illness and narcissists and delusion, it was just fascinating. And that's what gripped me at first, is finding out about, but it didn't grip me at first because of the I know I just said that, but it was the characters, because you
Mm-hmm.
start off right away in this band of heathens, and they're great. You start getting in their heads, and you were just like, I relate to these guys.
You
They're
relate
some
to them?
fucked up people, and yet we still relate to them. And it's just the character work, I thought, was exceptional in this. The different idea of this magic system was exceptional, and there are definitely themes going on in this book. We were talking about a world where gods, I'm not sure if they've created mankind, but they're just the gods, I think, that created mankind are fed up with mankind. They're like, hey, we can't control you fuckers anymore. And the gods flee, I believe, is how you start this book. The gods flee, and delusions become powerful, and people um, believe that they are gods, or believe that they are powerful, and their delusions come to fruition.
Mm-hmm.
And it is just a pretty dope story. Fletcher, you're not going to find flowery prose or anything like that. But, there are definitely some prose in there where you're just like, wow, that's a good line. And you're going to write it down. It's not going to happen, every chapter, but you will find one or two in there that are exceptional.
Like that's very very understandable because this was his first attempt at writing.
And I
This was
heard
his
he
very
gets
first
better.
book. He gets, yes, I've read some of his other books and he does get better. And just to further emphasize on what you were talking about, you started talking about the magic system, then you went and you talked about, actually no, let me talk about the characters. But something that makes Beyond Redemption very unique to me is that it's so intertwined. Like the characters themselves, what something staple about them is their mental illness, which is tied to the magic system. And then it's like that character of them, the kleptomaniac, and then Vishtig, like they are the delusions that they deal with. I was about to say something that might, anyway, but let me not say that. But their delusions and like their characters, how they interact, how that clashes, and then their intentions and the fact that they just keep stumbling over themselves, and then that plays into the tone as well because like it's such a it's so dark, but then it's also so funny, and it's like everything works with each other. Like I've like everything is so tied in together, everything is so weaved together, and you can enjoy it very holistically. Like every aspect of it is good, but the way everything just ties to each other for me is the best thing about the book.
Oh yeah, I agree. It's definitely not. It's definitely not like something like I don't know, Game of Thrones. I don't want to say Wheel of Time or Malazan because I haven't read those, but I can say Game of Thrones where there's like a bunch of perspectives and you're just like, oh my gosh, how is all this going to come together? No, it comes together quite nicely. Like I said, I don't think I've read a book as visceral as this. I mean, Perdido Street Station maybe, which I know Dan, either you are reading it or you've already read it. So,
Yeah, I've read it, and I'm like, actually, I'm doing one of these tomorrow on the
oh okay.
final
Well,
of it. But yeah, I've read the ending twice now, and
Oh,
no, I'm going through my second ending with that book. I did a lot of it on audio as well. I did it audio, and I physically read that book. Yeah. That it was excellent. It was something different. I love that. Like that, you need that for me to be invested in your book. To be completely honest, I need
yeah,
something new. If we're just doing a quest, like you better freaking, you better spice that quest up a little
yeah,
bit.
I
You know
mean,
yeah.
what I mean? It has to
Like
be. I can't do the same shit over and over
yeah, I
again.
know.
yeah. Like I feel like I need to be scared. Like there's a part of me that needs to be scared. Like I need to go somewhere in my head where I usually am not. Like for me
Exactly.
to enjoy a book
That's
because like if you've been reading, because I've been reading for a long time now, and a lot of these stories are like the same, like the plot, like it's easy to just predict what happens, but then when I come across books that are and not that predictability necessarily is a bad thing, but then execution, and of course with these elements of like being visceral and dark, and like packed with meaning and ideas, like then the book just has that extra spice about it that makes me want to read it. So I agree with you.
I think the good thing when we're talking about this book that Epic just brought up was about execution and how Fletcher Epic brought this up earlier. How his stories are excellent. The way he writes, his execution of these stories is also excellent. I don't want to bring in another author, uh, but we already did earlier. I just read my second book by China Mieville, and I
What
loved
what book was that?
Kraken.
Oh, Kraken.
Kraken, and I loved the premise of this book. And it started off absolutely fantastic. I'm like, it cannot go wrong, and it went wrong for me.
Oh
You
no.
know, it was just so cool. Like I just, quick synopsis is this, Kraken is about a book about a giant squid that goes, missing at a museum. And all of a sudden, the cops show up to look for what happened to this giant squid, and all of a sudden, a cult comes out of the woodwork to look for their god, which is this giant squid, and all of a sudden, you get this underground, magical, quirky, dark, mystical world in London. It was really cool, but it started the way that the direction the story went just really threw me off. But when I've read a few Fletcher's books. I love his premise, his plots, and I think he executes them very well.
Yeah, like he's definitely not trying to preach any kind of like morality or anything. I hate it when like a book like starts out like that and then it starts becoming more preachy towards the end. It's like now you're concluding and you have to end it with a lesson. No, I don't want a lesson. I want to, come to my own conclusions from the different ideas you've thrown about, and that is something that Fletcher does in his writing. Let me just ask you all a very quick question because Beyond Redemption has such epic characters. Who is your favorite character for the both of you?
Oh man. Maybe I'll just
I
go
know
off
who
real
most
quick.
people. I'm not gonna say who most people say. I think.
Maybe like Bedecked, because he's the normal
Bedecked.
one out of all of them. He's just I don't know. God, like here's the thing about the characters in Beyond Redemption. The title tells you all you need to know. Like they're terrible people. Like a lot of them
Yeah.
are awful. I also like Morgan because I don't know. He's a little shit, but I was kind of like, you know what? He seems all right. And then at the end, I'm like, ah, damn you.
It's Stellan, man. She's
Yeah,
a straight savage.
yeah.
She
Stealing, right?
she
Yo.
wipes people out, like not just one or two. She wipes like the whole bar out.
See,
Like
I fell,
there's no survivors with
I,
her.
I,
I
I
love
fell
her.
in, I fell in love with Stalen when Bidek told her to steal some clothes for them to like infiltrate the Gabora of they have so many like complicated names there, but if infiltrate like
Then she
Koenig's
kills
church.
everybody. Yeah.
And then she goes there and so casually just kills everyone. Like I was just like,
I
what the
love her,
fuck?
dude.
I love her
I think
so.
she's
And then
great.
I think it was within the first 5 chapters of Mirror's Truth, she does something, and I'm just like, wow.
Yeah,
I'm
no,
just
I know
like,
what part
wow.
you're
Like
talking about. That's why.
exactly. I was just
So
like,
you
she
might
is
have
so badass.
you might have asked me this before I read that part in Mirror's Truth, and I might have given you a different answer after I read Beyond Redemption, because when I read the part with Stella and the Mirror's Truth, I'm like, I dig her, man, and I
Yeah,
love her mental illness because I think she is a little bit of all of us,
yeah,
because she's not the prettiest hen in the house, and you hear her thoughts about how she perceives the world and how she thinks other people think, and it's completely wrong. And because she is so insecure about her looks, or anything like that, and she's just an exceptional character. And it's exceptionally written by Fletcher because he puts these character defects into these characters, and he keeps them. It's not like they happen once or twice. It's not like it happens once and they are like, oh, this is why I did this. No, they keep doing the same shit over and
they
over,
can't
even
help
though they
themselves.
know it hurts them. Yeah, it's so
Yeah. Usually
work
with
was
usually with characters in other books, the characters are like good, except they have this one flaw. But in Beyond Redemption, it's kind of the other way around. They are terrible, and there's something good about them that you kind of like makes you like there's one good
it's
relatable thing
in there.
about
You're
them.
like
Yes, it's
looking
in
for it
there.
because you can
It's in
sense it.
there. Yes, you can
You can
sense it,
sense
but then
there's
it's
goodness
never
in one
like
or two of them. Yeah,
you can
love
never
that.
quite place your hand on it because it's so covered up in like all the nonsense and the yeah, it's interesting. Look, we're taking over this conversation and we're the people that last read the book. Like I want to hear more of you, Britton. Like
No,
what
I
do you think
mean,
about?
That's
well,
it's
I mean, I guess like the only things I was kind of like about, like one, like Fletcher repeats himself from time, like he does get repetitious, and then like that prologue's kind of like the Star Wars beginning crawl, John Williams music and everything. But aside from that, I didn't have a lot of problems with this book. I mean, it did test my limits a little bit. I was like, holy shit, because I mean, I knew it was like I had heard it was dark, right? But then there's a scene, okay, and I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. But Gahern is just chilling, she just killed the 3 guards because she's out of her freaking mind. Then this fat, disgusting, literally straight out of Berserk, this guy walks up, and it's a bunch of people, and basically what he does is he's called Erbrechen, I think, something like that. It's like German. This man is just like, hey, literally straight like Jesus. He's just like, hey, come follow me. And she's like, oh, okay. Okay, that's not the part that got me. There's a part it's almost like this part of the scene. This woman jacks him off. And then when she's done jacking him off, she licks her freaking fingers, and I was just like, okay, I gotta put this down. Nope. I gotta make a drink right now. And then it gets worse.
Like,
then it's just like, okay, we're gonna have an orgy now, and everyone's just gonna shit everywhere. He's like,
yeah, dude. I remember that lady, and I remember
Dude.
that lady, and I thought like Fletch would reach out to me for an e-arc of his last book, but then I remembered like after I read that part, I hit Fletch up for that lady's number. He blocked me on Messenger.
wait, what happened? Wait, what? He blocked you?
Yeah, so I really wanted that lady's number, the one who you just described did all that stuff.
Oh my god.
I hit Fletch up on Messenger, was like, yo, do you still know her? If you do, can you like reach out to, do you have her number for me?
Yeah, I mean, it gets even worse. And like the children show up and start murdering people and like eating them and like rape. Oh, it was grotesque.
What about this scene with the mirrorist?
Yeah, the mirrors. That
Like that one was painful. That one was like I cringed so much. I was just like, what the
yeah, there
actual
were some shards down there.
Yeah, I know.
Like in the southern
God,
Virginia area.
And it was turning on Gahern.
Oh,
Yo.
and she's like, oh
Dude,
yeah.
Gurn, how about we talked about all the characters? Honestly, when you ask for a favorite character, I mean, how can you not like Gurn?
I know.
Yeah.
Gahern was so badass.
She was the only one I
Gahern
felt
was
like
so badass.
really bad for, aside from maybe like Bedecked, because she's just this broken, sad person. She's crazy and all, but she's just this broken, sad little girl, basically, who just wants to be loved by somebody. And then she gets with Brecken, who's just
how he stays with these themes and of trauma and the reactions, our reactions to trauma, and of course, Gurn being, I think, burned by her father, abused by her father, ends up being abused and in an abusive relationship with Gerbrechen, the orgy god, you know, and
yeah.
that dynamic, you can see why she does the things she does within that relationship dynamic between Gerbrechen and Gurn. Because she's like, nobody will ever love me, and like this is a toxic relationship, and it's playing out in it was played out very well
Yeah.
within the story and within when we look into trauma and how people react to trauma.
Yeah. All the men of authority in her life like took advantage of her. Even Koenig. Like even
Yeah,
Koenig,
Mm-hmm.
Koenig had a plan to use her to like blow something up one day. He was just like, I remember when he was talking about it. Well, the inner monologue in his head, and he was like, oh, when she explodes, it's going to be glorious. When like the her delusions take over her.
take over. Yeah, they kill you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I actually thought
So it's like
Koenig was
everyone was trying to use her.
like Koenig and like Erbrechen were probably like or Brechen or however you pronounce. I don't know how to pronounce it. I'm not German, but I thought they were probably the two most despicable characters in the book because it was just like I don't know, like maybe I would say Koenig is worse because like
I don't.
Erbrechen,
Nah, like
he's
I'm
honest
fine with
about what he
Koenig.
wants.
And
I'm gonna
Brecken was
play devil's
disgusting, man.
advocate here and say Koenig just wanted a good god. He wanted to develop a decent god, and
To save himself.
One he could
right,
manipulate, of
yes, to
course.
save himself as well. But still, he was trying to teach this kid some morals. When we go in the beginning of the book, we see some of the interactions between Koenig and Morgan and how Morgan should run a society. There was just excellent breakdown
Yeah,
of
I know.
um, Morgan was playing with these wooden soldiers,
Mm-hmm.
and he was trying to create a society. That's so interesting. Like I think that's like maybe in college I think we read Plato's Republic, and
Mm-hmm.
I think it has a lot to do with creating a society and keeping them in line and leader like we and then he broke this, Conan kind of broke it down to Morgan like, we need leaders. We also need peasants, like who are going to do those menial jobs that need to get done in society to work. So it was very interesting when he started talking about
Yeah,
developing a society and creating a god.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I mean, what I
But
thought.
like
Oh,
it
sorry.
was like that was like the scene I was trying to do on my motion comics. Like, what kind of god would I be? A good one. And then it was like, yeah. And something that what Koenig was doing was still a little bit messed up because like they were experimenting on children and they were trying not to like Morgan was literally the only one that made it that far.
They were all
You-
dying.
They all
Yes.
died. Like
Yes.
a lot of them like committed suicide. Like
Yeah.
children. Like Beyond Redemption is a messed up book, man. It's
Yeah, it
such
was
a
like
messed up book.
I didn't really feel bad for Koenig. I was just, but,
Oh, I didn't feel bad for him. I think he got a pretty bad rap. People think he was like a horrible, horrible person. I would say, that Brechen, he just,
Oh,
however you see
Bracken
that,
was
he
disgusting.
takes the cake.
yeah,
In
My
yeah,
this book
God.
for
yeah.
sure. But
He's
second, I
he's
don't
just
even know who would be
disgusting
second.
on the outside, and it's just a disgusting individual. But even
I
then,
mean,
there's like
Witchtig is,
flickers.
is a disgusting individual. When you get into his head,
He's
he's
so
just like,
hilarious. He's
it
so
is, it is.
hilarious.
He's like, I'm the best, and everybody knows it. I don't
Yeah.
know why I'm here.
You
Why
know,
am I not up there?
th-
He's
there
great
was
when you get into his head.
there was a chapter that Fletcher started with she knew that I knew that she knew that I knew that I was like that she
Yeah.
wanted me or something like that, and
Uh-huh.
I just continued writing, and I remember when I first read it, I laughed. I was just like, yes, like I love Witch Thing as well so much, and
Yeah,
it
Witch
mirrors
Dig's
truth. You're going to even love him even more.
yeah,
Sorry.
Witch Dig was interesting because like on the one hand, he's like the most insufferable, just hate this guy. But even then, there's flickers. Like there might be some like good deep in there, but it's covered by his just
Very
egomaniacal.
subsurface.
Yeah. Like
Yeah,
when he was
very
actually being
Hold
nice to
it
Morgan, I'm like, oh, maybe he's like taking a liking to the little guy, and then he's all like, I'm manipulating him for my ends. I'm like, okay, you bastard. Don't even feel. I was glad when Morgan was like, you know what, I'm gonna stab this guy. I'm like, you know what, I don't blame you.
I want to go back to something Britton said about like Fletcher's writing being repetitive. Like, it's something I noticed a lot when I was reading Mirror's Truth. Um, and I think like I think I understand why. And I think it's because like he writes inner monologues a lot. And
Mm-hmm.
when you're doing inner monologues, it's like if you're writing such a large book and there are things about your character that you know, like he's not subtle about what they are thinking. He doesn't give you the information subtly in it. His writing style
Well,
is not like
sure,
that. It's
yeah.
not like Baker or anything. He just he puts it out like he just puts it out there, you know. And then I feel like having to, and each time he's writing someone's uh inner monologue, it will tend to be the same. Like it's like, okay, I've heard he's saying the same thing in a different way, but I feel, but like in his later books, I even found the same thing in Obsidian Path,
Mm.
but it's it got annoying for me sometimes as well, but
It was just a
altogether,
little
like
bit. It didn't
I
really.
still love the characters.
It didn't like
No,
detract
no,
from the experience, but it was just kind
yeah,
of
it didn't
like
detract from the
like
experience,
there
but
was
I noticed it as well.
like
I'm just saying I
there's
noticed it as
one
well. Yeah.
part where he's talking to Gahern, being like, "Hey, go find Morgan for me," and he literally says manipulating her emotions. I slightly face palmed. I was like, "Okay, I know that's what he's doing. You don't need to spell it out like that." But whatever. It was still a great. It was. I don't want to say it was a great time because a lot of it was really disgusting, and I was kind of like, "Oh man, that's really testing my limits there."
No.
Um, but
I just love how much he didn't hold back. I just love how much he didn't
I
hold back. It was
respect it.
just like, yes, I respect it so much. Like I respect it so much, you know. Like I and that's Beyond Redemption. At the time I read it, it was exactly what I needed because I was getting a lot of criticism about my book that people were telling me it was too much, it was too dark, and I was thinking, oh, maybe do I have to? Should I tone this down? Should I tone? I read Beyond Redemption. I was no fucking way, man. I'm going like in, you know.
No, it's yeah, no, it's I was like, oh man, this might outdo Abercrombie because I always see on YouTube everyone's like, oh man, his characters are so morally gray. I'm like, bro, you haven't read Beyond Redemption. Like, mostly,
No.
it's
And
like
I would
these.
say that Fletcher, at least, I mean, like I said, I'm in the middle of Mirror's Truth. His character work is very good.
It's very,
And
very good.
maybe, he's a self-published author, I believe, and as Epic was saying earlier, not getting as much clout as obviously some other authors that we all see in our circle. But I do believe, as a self-published author, that Fletcher has made an impact. He has,
100%. Like
yeah,
100%. His stuff is going to like he has a
out there.
steadily growing fan base. He has like a
Yes,
steadily growing he might not be he has very niche fans, you know. He might not be like it might not happen immediately, but definitely before like he's done, before his career is done, like he will get that recognition for sure. Like
and the
I
Shattered. What's the other series that he
Obsidian
has?
Path, Obsidian Path.
Yeah, I already have the first couple books on Kindle. I mean, I did think it was free anyway, but I do have the first one already because his covers are dope. Now, when
Yeah.
I do review this, that would be one of my negatives already because I'm enjoying Mirror's Truth. But look, I mean, we're not even, this is a series and we're not even close here. You know what I mean? We're not
Oh, you
even,
mean the covers?
yeah, we're not even,
Oh yeah.
remotely um a theme kind of. I dig this cover. I'm not the
Oh yeah.
biggest fan
Richard
of that
Anderson's
one.
great. I love him.
But I'm a huge fan of the one he just had to quickly come up with for this new book. I
Yeah.
like that. That cover is freaking fire.
And
I
what
can't
to
find.
end all. Yeah.
There's
Ooh,
like some
yeah.
huge freaking creature in the background, some epic
Monstrosity.
big dragon creature or something. It looks like a pretty good ass cover.
Yeah. And I
But
think
that
that's
is one negative
Wistic
already.
standing, yeah. Yeah. I think that's Wistic standing in front of it with his sword.
Yeah, I mean, that's actually one of the things I like about that I really thought was fascinating about Beyond Redemption. It's like life and death mean very little in this world. I mean, hell, I kind of thought of it. It's almost like it's like kind of how I thought of it when I was reading it. It's like a nuclear bomb went off or something, and they're like all the people are just kind of hanging out in the aftermath of it or something. It's really it's apocalyptic almost.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
I would
apocalyptic.
think when we talk about life and death in this, it's important, right, in this series for us to address their outlook and how, if you kill nobody does
People
really
you will
die
serve
in
you in
this
afterlife,
series.
yeah. No,
You know what I
but
mean?
go
Like
ahead.
we had this after death, and if you kill somebody, we did not touch on this. So, if you kill somebody, they serve you in the after death.
Pretty much, yeah.
So you're right. So if if somebody dies, we already know that we can go in the after death. Maybe it's not going to hurt as much because we know that there's a possibility that they might not.
Yeah.
That they're
Yeah.
still around, basically. So yeah, within this world, death is very it's not final,
But
Yeah,
then
so
no.
remember
we're not gonna
when they
get
were
that
in
fate.
the but remember that when they were in the after death and Stalin killed Gahan and then she disappeared from the after death and then Stalin's thought was just like, so does she go to the after death, but like and then just like brushed it off like thing. But like I feel like maybe the like dying in the after death is like the final one, I think. But
Yeah,
yeah.
I like how Erbrecken dies and he's like, "Oh, hey everyone." He's all pulling his Jabba the Hutt thing, and then Stalin's like, "Funk," kills him. He's just
Didn't
like,
even know like, yeah, didn't even like she Stalin didn't even need to like know anything about her. He just like didn't like just saw her, didn't like her, killed her, like life goes on.
yeah, I'm like, oh, all right. I was about to say, yeah, well, oh my god, yeah, Erbrecken. I would probably say he was the most terrifying character in the story. Not even because like he's like prowess. It's just like he can literally just tell you like, "Hey, come follow me," and you'll just do it. And you'll
Yo.
like, did you ever
And then he
watch
fell in love with,
Did you ever watch Jessica Jones, the first season of that show?
yeah, I watched Jessica
Yeah,
Jones.
he's like Kilgrave, kind of, except he's like
Ah,
fat and disgusting.
yeah, yeah, 100%, 100%. Like how do you see Beyond Redemption moving forward, like in terms of what do you think will happen, like what are you most interested, how do you think the story will evolve basically?
Um, I it was funny because like I did want to talk more about this, but like Morgan is like they're trying to make him a good god or whatever. And I was like,
Yeah.
well, what if he like, because they're kind of implying that because that's what I thought they were going for, is sort of that he kind of, because he's obsessed with cleanliness, like he's very like, which relatable. I'm very much about which as a hygiene nut, my senses were assaulted a lot during this book, but but I thought like maybe like so is like when he says like cleanliness, does that mean he's just gonna like pull a Thanos and just murder everybody and then just rebuild the world? And I think at the end of the book that's kind of what they're implying, but I don't know. That's what I'm interested to see. Like, what's Morgan gonna do since now he's technically ascended now?
I hear you. Every time I go to the grocery store, I have that feeling. I really understand Thanos a lot. When I go to the grocery
I
store
love that's how
outside
you
of
pulled that. I
Philadelphia.
love that's what you pulled from that from that conversation.
Like I'm totally with you, bro. Let's wipe some of these people out. Like they don't need to be, you know. Um, so we don't want, you to get demonetized. So what were we talking about?
No,
I
I
was
just asked him how he thinks the story will evolve, and like me
I
knowing
do.
how the story evolves is interesting to just like see because the way Mirror's Truth like picked up from Beyond Redemption, I couldn't have seen like it I couldn't have predicted that, and then the way book three the idea the big ideas being in book three, it's like so many less I saw I thought it was such a left turn, you know.
I like that. Here's truth is definitely giving me a left turn. Um, Mostly because of how Bedek, his story arc is going.
Yeah.
Because you did finish the book, Britton, and Bedek did kill Morgan.
mm-hmm.
So, if the laws of the afterlife are in place, that would mean Bedek could ask Morgan to do whatever he wants. And see what he does with that choice is just interesting. That's all. I'll stay right there, I guess.
Yeah, I was about to say I haven't read
Um,
Mirror's Truth yet. Though,
yeah,
so.
no, but I suggest you read it, and if you do, you, I believe, what Fletcher definitely gets better. And I was noticing maybe I got better as a reader, because, and I haven't read much, a lot. Um, I am starting, and I'm starting to find out what I like and what authors do and how they present the story. And I'm liking Fletcher's writing a lot more as I read more and more authors.
Yeah, no, I mean it's just. I was actually also reminded of. It was funny you mentioned Blood Meridian before we started this, but I was kind of reminded of Blood Meridian because like not quite as depraved as the Glanton gang are, but almost. But like definitely, I
I
definitely
mean, I
got
would
that
say
vibe.
that cover right there.
I know. I
That
thought it was a
that's what
western.
gets you thinking Blood Meridian. Other than the gratuitous violence and the over the top, I think that's the one thing of similarities I definitely see between the two.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
Berserk and Blood Meridian and like some other stuff just like got together and created this unholy abomination. And I say that in the best way possible. But I
Yeah.
also really liked
Well,
how.
Blood Meridian.
Oh,
Yeah, go ahead.
I was just gonna say real quick. I like also how Beyond Redemption kind of deconstructs the chosen one trope and basically goes like, well, what would that be like in, well, I don't want to say the real world because I hardly would call this the real world per se, but definitely I really liked how they approached it. That like, oh, there's people who might want to manipulate the power that this person is capable of, for their own selfish ends. And I thought that was really like Koenig. He doesn't really care about Morgan. He just cares about what Morgan can do for him, pretty much.
Yeah, so can anybody think back to a chosen one trope where that was the case? That the person, we do have the chosen one
The
tropes, and they're
faithful and the
always getting
fallen.
taught by some old geezer that used to be the shit back in the day. You know what I mean? And he's always like this nice guy that's now a drunk, but he was some hero back in the day. And he's training him to be the chosen one he's supposed to be. I'm wondering if I haven't come across a story where the chosen one trope is being um, sculpted or molded for negative means. Not that it would be
Yeah,
negative.
I feel like in context of Beyond Redemption, there are two ways, right? Um, like if someone was not the chosen one, because people believe they are the chosen one, then like reality will like adjust itself to it. And but then in context to like ideas of like religion and everything, I thought it was hilarious when Morgan just like on a whim brought that cat back to life, and the next time they shoot the cat,
Yeah,
like
they
some
start
human beings were
worshiping
like
the
worshiping
dead
Yeah,
it.
cat.
the cult of the black cat, right?
Yeah,
It's
they
That
all
called on the
like
black
dead and
cat.
the
just like
cult of the
crawling
black cat
around.
was the funniest part of
Just
this book.
Like
That
I
that
was
like
was
how
just
so
like
good.
Brecken's
this
like,
is
what the hell? What are you guys doing? He's like,
Things
we
walking
follow the
around with a
cat.
broken back, and like it's still it has a followers now. That was fucking great.
yeah, and it was not necessary. Like, and those are the things that something that Michael Fletcher puts in his books. It's not necessarily necessary. It wasn't like vital to the plot that that happened, but it was just like, by the way, like this thing that happened inadvertently, like it's like this is like your imagination can go like and just
Yeah,
carry that little thing that happens and go wherever it wants
he
with it,
put
but
like an
you just dropped the
absurdist
idea and just moved
twist,
on. Yeah, so absurdist. Yeah, yeah.
because and he got away with it because I definitely laughed because you have this tone. Listen, I hate to bring up the book that I just read, Kraken again by Mieville. He has this wonderful tone, this dark quirkiness tone, but there is a line when you are working with dark and very absurd, like absurdist dark. So when we're talking absurdist dark, like Edward Scissorhands, right?
Oh
Like
yeah.
any movie by him is very absurdist dark. The Butcher movie, anyway. Um, in Kraken, it was overdone, and I thought it took away from the dark tone that Mieville was building within this story, and then his characters started being very Pratchett-esque, funny, and very, it became a little too absurd, and it really took away from the story for me. But I think that Fletcher kind of tossed that in there real quick, and I think he really pulled it off and got away with it.
Yeah. Yeah, he does that a lot in his writing, where he just like he'll just throw an idea there and then just leave it and move on. And the,
Speaking of Pratchett-esque, um, did anybody get that vibes with the Guard? Like, so I'm reading Guards right now, which is the Night Watch series, and the guards that are guarding the towns. This is very funny. To their banter between the two is like, oh, you didn't see nothing. And the guy's like, what'd you see tonight? He's like, nothing. It was just very well done, and it gave
yeah,
me a very Pratchett vibe, a Night Watch vibe when we got these parts with these guards. It was very quick. It was,
yeah.
but it's definitely in there if you ever reread it. Keep an eye out for that.
I mean, I
Yeah.
actually got more of like a Michael Moorcock vibe from like especially like
Mm,
Elric. It's very like decadent.
mm,
Again, almost feels like I said earlier, it almost feels like a nuke had gone off. Like it kind of felt that way to me, and like everyone's described as like just disgusting and dirty and haggard, and if they're not getting defiled and murdered and raped.
Yeah, I don't know if it was as epic
Actually,
as
no
Elric.
rape in this. That's good.
Yeah, I think Elric is more. When you talk about that last scene, it gets epic and crazy. I didn't really see that at this ending, though. It was pretty, you know, um, fantastical. This big ending with Gurn and everything. I just didn't feel that it was. It was kind of like an Elric. I didn't see an Elric vibe in it, which is my opinion.
yeah.
Well,
It was it definitely felt like destitute. It felt like apocalyptic, like in a sense. It felt like it felt gave that feeling of like everything burnt, and like just trying to imagine like the life toll, and I could just imagine like bedecked, burnt to a crisp, trying to have this conversation with Morgan, and to like set it felt very destitute, you know.
Yeah.
Eric of Merrill, like Eric is, and I've only read the first book, so I don't know if I can
Yeah,
really
me too.
speak about it.
First, I've only done the first as well.
Yeah, but like Eric is more like yeah, Eric it was, I felt like it's just more of a very steady tone, in that kind of pulpy kind of
Well, I mean, like, the world felt like Elric, where it's just kind of decadent, and like, there's this like
Actually, yeah, you know what?
yeah.
I
not
missed that.
necessarily like
You're right
the
about that. Actually.
not necessarily like, because I wouldn't say that I wouldn't say that Beyond Redemption is like, I wouldn't say it's exactly like Elric. It's kind of, there's a lot of
I would
different.
say the world building, yes, is very
exactly.
very similar to
The world, yeah.
his writing.
Yeah, and I like how the world building, because when it comes to world building for me, I like when it flows naturally within the narrative, and there's not just a bunch of, hey, there was this thing 20 years ago that happened,
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I don't like that, but he's just
Yeah.
like, he does kind of go like, okay, this is how they do this, but it felt necessary, so it wasn't just over explanation. So I'm like, that's nice.
And this is what I was saying about like Beyond Redemption, just naturally flowing, like all the different aspects of it, the characters, the tone, the magic system, because the world is a reflection of like how fucked up the thoughts, the imagination and the thoughts of the people living in it are. So it literally is delusion manifest. Like those like it's so it's the world, everything, the characters makes the world make sense, which makes the tone, which is perfect for the tone, which is perfect which also makes the magic system like it's so cohesive. It's such a cohesive story, you
Like,
know.
how often can you say magic is actually terrifying? Like, not often. Like, the magic, at least in like the Geist Kronken, like, it's scary. Like,
Yeah, very.
these people can
Yeah,
basically,
what
with
was
their
that guy?
delusions.
A whole bunch of rats or something? What? What?
Yeah,
One of
I
these
was
guys
just
have a
about to
bunch
talk
of
about them, like
mongooses or something?
Kornig's assassins, right? The ones he
Yeah.
sent after
Yeah,
Morgan. Oh
yeah.
my, yo, the war that happened between them, Gahern, and then when they came to capture Morgan, like wow, like such, like when like the way Fletcher described the battle, it was just like I really really enjoyed it. It's so colorful, very colorful in the mind, and there's all these things happening, and there are some times when you know magic is being used in a book and you don't understand what is going on. Other times you kind of understand too much and you're trying to like science it out, but like I like how with Fletcher's magic system there's just like a premise, and then from that premise, like when something happens, it just makes sense. Okay, this is within the realm of this mental illness that this
And
person has, and it
what
makes sense
this
that
certain
it
person
manifests like
is.
this. Yes, and
Yeah,
then like the
exactly.
way
It's just,
the characters clash in those battles is just so epic. Like I read that fight over and over, talking about how like there was lightning striking, and then there was a swirl of fire, and like they were just trying to so sick, so sick,
I
so
also
sick.
like how I also like how Fletcher. Well, I don't know if it's like, there's the people who can. They're basically druids, but using D&D talk, but they're basically druids. They turn into animals, and I'm like, oh man, this is gonna be badass. They're gonna throw down. No, Strahlen just like murders them. It's fine. Well, they almost kill Bedecked, and if I remember right, they actually do kill Witch Tig. But
No,
I'm
they're
like,
about to like there's the scorpion, right? Like poison the shit out of him. But then
yeah,
I think Morgan saves him, and this is why I like Stalin because like these guys were not even on Stalin's level. I think Stalin among the three of them, I think Stalin was like the most powerful in terms of just like pure danger. In terms of just like the ability to like they all kept talking, teasing each other. I'm gonna kill you. Or if we fight, who
Yeah,
would actually win?
Stalin's the
Stalin
killer.
would kill. Stalin was the
Stalin's the
killer.
killer in
You
the
know.
crew for sure.
Stalin,
yeah.
Stalin,
I mean,
Stalin, Stalin.
I'll admit I liked Bedecked out of all of them because it's like I don't know. It's almost like he doesn't know what he wants to do with his life. It's again, it's like you guys said earlier about that point. Like there is those flickers of good in them, but of course, they're beyond redemption. Just drop the title.
So where I'm at with Mirror's Truth, nothing has really blossomed with Benedict. But
I feel like
I
there's
I
some
want to
like
see. So I would like. So I am coming at this like I just finished Beyond Redemption, right? Because Benedict is still kind of an
so
unknown here within the book that I'm reading now. I just hope when when they tell people they're crazy, it's always the people who are actually crazy don't know they're fucking crazy,
so I would
right?
say this. I will say this like real quick before you continue. Like I feel like Mirror's Truth was really a bedecked
Buck.
arc.
It is
Yes.
starting that way for
Yeah.
sure. It's mostly him and this other person who is a mystery as well. Um, but I've just really with Fletcher's the books that I've read from Fletcher, I just find myself wanting to know what happens, and putting it down and having other books to read, but still being like, I kind of want to get back to that and see where this goes because, from what I see from Fletcher's writing, he really, his structure is very accessible. His writing's accessible, and his stories are exceptional. And they're not the same regurgitated thing. We have obviously we have morally great characters. We're seeing that's the big thing now. But his story,
I'd say that they're bad. Like
Like
not
I
to go
wouldn't even
further than
say I
morally
wouldn't even
great.
say they are morally great. They are like black characters.
oh
And
yeah,
like yeah, it's like
no,
they are
so
actually like
we all want them to redeem themselves, right?
yes.
That's the thing with us as readers, and no matter what, we love these characters, these despicable characters, because the lower they go, the higher they can go in our minds, right? So the more despicable a person is, when they actually do something good, that feeling you get when they're like, "Oh my God, he turned that corner." It's exaggerated because
Yeah.
of what a despicable person that. Yeah, you want it? You got it, buddy.
Yeah, like
Know what I mean?
I mean,
Yeah.
I suppose the thing about I think all of them want to connect to other people on one way or another, but they just can't get out of their own way.
Do you think that is what is do you think that is like this so this is a mini question within a broader question, right? Do you think, right, it's their potential to be better that makes them so relatable to like us readers, or do you think it's their redeeming qualities, like no matter what you can say about those guys, they were they had the intention to be loyal to each other, for instance? Like, is it like, what is it? Is it their futile attempts to connect, which is something that like I feel like everybody in the world in real life like experiences, that
For sure.
makes them that makes like what is it that about Michael Fletcher's characters that even though they are so despicable and dark, so those are the mini questions, but the broader question is, what is it about like Michael Fletcher's characters that, as despicable as they are, we enjoy them so much, and like we relate, and like we want like good stuff to happen to them, although Michael Fletcher never lets anything good happen to these guys.
They're, well, I think they're just relatable on the one hand, despite how bad they are. I mean, even like Eric Brecken, how terrifying and awful he is. Like, even he, like, there's points where he's like, he just wants to be loved by somebody, you know. And
He had a pretty sad story too, as well.
They
Yeah.
did. Like when we look at all the characters, this is the human fascination, right? With serial killers, right? We are so fascinated because we want to know why. Why? That's we yeah, maybe we want to see what happens, but the question that everyone wants answered when it comes to serial killers is why. Why did they do the things they do? And with every character, Fletcher gives you those reasons. Other than Benedict.
Yeah, I was about to say Benedict is interesting because he's kind of that tropey, you know, one last job kind of guy, and it just blows up in his face. Clearly has some demons, and
Now,
he's the most normal out of all three of them.
These characters, they relate because they all get in their own way. And how many people, you read their inner dialogue, and if you haven't done what they've done once or twice when you're dealing with other people or other situations in life, then you're not living life, man. Like, you know, second, you know, questioning their every move, you know, questioning what other people thinks of them, and you know, questioning what they should say or what they should do. Like, you are in ahead of somebody that is, you know, insecure, and I think many of us are, and you find yourselves in these despicable characters, and you start to relate to them more once, because, you know, Fletcher really has a knack for, you know, making these characters real, not just in real life, but real to the reader. And I think, you know, Fletch knows his reader. He knows that somebody that's reading, you know, elephants and pink unicorns is not going to be reading Beyond fucking Redemption. He knows his readers. And he knows the people that are probably reading his books have, you know, aren't perfect. They don't expect their characters to be.
I think
so.
it's funny you mentioned
So
like what brings all of them together. I think all three of, I don't think they know what they want, really. I mean, it's kind of, again, kind of going back to why I compared it to Blood Meridian. They're kind of just like the Glanton gang, just kind of wandering around, getting into trouble, not, you know, viciously murdering and raping anybody who gets in their way like the Glantons, but they're certainly like unmoored. They don't really know what they want, but they're just used to this way of life. So they don't really know. They don't really.
I
know
think when
else.
it came towards the Glanton gang, that most of those members just didn't have any other options in life to decide. Like, you know, they're in a, you know, that border of Mexico. People are starving, dying, and they just joined a gang. You know, where everybody's doing, you know, where they're making money, they're not starving, but they have to do what everybody else in the gang is doing, and that it talks, you know, a lot of that has to do with like group. You can get into group dynamics and stuff when you talk about that, but let's not even.
No, with
Blood
I was
Meridian.
I was about to make a comment
Let's not
on
even
Blood
bring that
Meridian, but
book
you
up
know what?
because,
Yeah,
listen, I gotta sleep tonight, guys.
that's like something else. Blood Meridian is scary because like it's like possible. It's like
Yeah, that's
it's so,
right. That's right, because that
it's
is
like real.
right. That's fictional. You know,
Yes.
it's a historical fictional book.
Yeah.
This is obviously complete made up fantasy,
No,
but
Yeah.
you know, I do see many comparisons to
Yeah.
both books. things, though.
Except
Especially when
Fletcher
it comes
likes to go
violence.
more inside his characters' heads, like Abercrombie likes to do.
Definitely, I think.
And McCarthy, not so much. He's more interested in like
Yeah.
their actions and
Most
what
of
they
that
do.
book it has to do with groups and humanity. So I think you were getting more of a personal look when you're talking about Fletcher's characters. Um, you know, you're getting inside their heads, but with uh, Blood Meridian, we're talking deeper things about society and violence and things like that. And you're not really. I think Cormac McCarthy did that for a reason, that we don't see anybody's point of view within the Glanton gang, or anybody stand up, or we don't really get their inner dialogue. We know what they're doing, yet we still wonder why they're doing it, because we aren't really given that look into the Glanton gang members. As per Beyond Redemption, we get to see every thought that our character has, and all of our characters have.
Yeah, I mean it's it's interesting. I mean it's just kind of I think they're both like really different. They deal with different ideas, but it's more. Well, it's called Manifest Delusions, and it makes sense because all the characters in this book are all bullshitting themselves in one way or another. Like Bedek's like, oh, one last job. Witchtig thinks he's the greatest fucking swordsman since, Jaime Lannister.
I love this idea of manifest delusion, and how he plays with it in this book, because, again, being relatable to real life and society, like how many people lie to themselves every fucking day and believe every word that they fucking say.
Well, that's why it's
just
scary.
Like Witch Tig. You know how many Witch Tigs are out there? You guys would be fucking shocked, surprised, and scared to figure out that how many are out there.
The magic system in
just like
is scary, is because it's plausible.
Yes, I worked in sales, and there are people I am 1,000,000,000% sure are sociopaths. Like narcissistic sociopaths. No, in sales.
Oh, in sales?
Yeah, in sales, like those, like I'm not trying to bash sales. Sales is great, and but there are some people that like get into, and those people succeed, but their mentality is like a lizard. I'm telling you, but yeah. So let me ask you a question, and this might be a little bit personal because like mental health is kind of like a hot topic, but if you existed in that world, right? What do you think? What kind of are you a Geico's Krunken? What do you believe your delusion would be? What kind of Geico's Krunken would you be? Would you be what was Gahern again? She was
Hasselbrand?
She was
Hasselbrand, or would you be like
last night.
yeah, like what would you be? Would you be eclectic? Would you be like what do you think, like how do you think your delusions will manifest? What kind of world would you create?
I thought, one of the things I thought was cool is that there was one of them called it was like a Marir, a
Mirrors
or something. And like there was one moment that's just like a throwaway, and he's like, there's like a city just filled with this one guy. But he was so fucking crazy, he made a city.
He made so many doppels of himself. I guess, right?
I'm like, dude, I kind of want to see. It's kind of like in. I don't know if it's kind of again. It kind of reminds me back to Pretty Old Street Station, because like China Mieville does a similar thing. Like you give like these nuggets of like stuff, and I'm like, ooh, and it just sets your imagination on fire. I love that. I love when authors do that.
I don't know. I could probably be a Mirrorist or a Geistes Krunken. I definitely would when it comes to. I could definitely see myself as a Witch Tig. Believe in my own fucking shit. I'm sure I've been guilty of that in my time. I love this idea of the doppels. I'm not sure if they were mirrors. They were
No.
mirrors,
Mirrors were
and then they
different.
came out of the
No.
mirror.
Mirrors are different. Like mirrors, the powers and doppel powers are different.
But Koenig was
It
both,
was both,
right?
yes, yes,
And
that
Koenig had
was
the doppels, right? And they came out of the mirrors, right?
yeah,
So I would probably be a mirrorist because I love how he did this. When you look at the doppels, they're all character defects, or have something to do. Like one's called abandonment,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like you don't want to be abandoned, and like it's a negative quality to have, and yet Koenig keeps it around anyway, even though he could kill this negative quality, but he keeps it around him anyway because it keeps him safe.
yeah.
It's very
So
funny because I got all these negative qualities. I could pop out, addiction and codependency. I would have doppels all over the fucking place.
Yeah,
so
I'm a,
it's like I feel like the way it worked, and like correct me if I'm wrong, because I read like a book like kind of about it, like a book that kind of had like similar things where like people have abstractions of themselves come out and approach them like doppels. But then I think right, the dynamic is like aspects of yourself that you don't like manifest. So like Kurdik didn't feel like trepidation or acceptance or thing because they were outside of him, and they were like giving him advice um as a third party.
Mhm.
So it was just like okay, he understood those flaws, and they were giving him information that he could get like the truth and filter out the
The
nonsense.
trepidation and
Yeah,
the advice that
trepidation,
trepidation
acceptance,
gave
and
him.
yeah,
Yeah.
yes. So it was,
And
and like
abandonment was always like, yo, they're gonna fucking leave you, bro. Don't fucking.
yeah.
You're gonna, you're
Everyone
gonna get hurt.
abandons
You're gonna
us in
get
the end.
abandoned. You
uh,
know.
and I like how Koenig, when that time that they were doing the one of us, the part that I animated, and I like how Koenig figured out uh who acceptance was. He was just like he said something, and then like something, they did something, and he was just like, oh, this was acceptance's plot, because, and then he started
Yes,
attacking
of how
acceptance,
it
and
was
then
said. I remember that.
yeah, like I like
One
the
of
dynamic of like so crazy.
This book is surreal at points. Like there's moments
Yes.
where you're
Yeah.
just like, what the fuck is going on? Like at the very end when Koenig is just like when Trepidation just decides like, you know what? I'm in charge now. And he like I don't know. He like becomes Koenig and then the real Koenig's like, wait a minute, I'm the real Koenig. And then he's like, no, you're a failure. You're gonna be my bitch now. And he's like, oh, okay. And then he literally like throws him into the mirror. Or something. I don't even
Yeah.
know if I
It's
know what
funny.
was all going on, but it was just
There's
that was
just
kind
so
of the
many
gist.
things
I'm
that
like,
could
what the
go on.
fuck is
Because
that?
how many different us's do we present to this world, right? There's
Yeah.
the guy I present to you guys sitting here chopping it up about fucking books, but there's also the guy I'm going to present at my job tomorrow, and I'm going to use big fucking words, and I'm going to, it's so we definitely have these different personalities that we're all the same person, but we are different people in different circumstances. But that's just diving a little deeper than we have to go here.
I mean,
No,
I
it's
can't.
not. No, that's just about as deep as we should, because like, it's the part of the reason I enjoy reading these books is because it makes me think of stuff like that. It makes me think of I'm seeing it play out in real time when I'm reading the book, you know, and then that like helps me see another person's perspective on it, and then it enriches my perspective on it,
For sure.
and yeah, so it's 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 the process around like mental illness and everything. I just thought it was very, very creative, very creative.
That's kind of what attracted me to this book is I really like the idea. Like, what if we had this? What if we had this world where magic is based on just how I don't know if I want to say like just how insane you are, pretty much. Like, if your mental degradation is so bad, like, you could literally, like, Koenig, literally, he's so fucking crazy. Like, he like, started a religion.
I mean, this is actually happening.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I mean,
It's just like
look
Beyond
at who
Redemption is just
America's
an
president
extreme.
was 2 presidents ago. Like, I mean,
Yeah,
the
it's
delusions.
Oh, God. If
it's
Donald
just like an
if Donald Trump
exaggeration.
was
It's just
in...
like an exaggeration, and you add magic into it, and like we're reading a fantasy novel, but like at the same time, it's like you can see parallels how it's like the people who are on top are the people who are like most messed up in the head, you know, like they're
Yes,
the ones that
yes.
like do like have you watched this movie Sound of Freedom?
Oh,
I heard about it.
Oh,
I haven't seen
oh
it.
my God. Like sorry, that was my alarm. Like that thing just talks about like the elite, and it's based on a real life story, and it's messed up because you
what's it
see
called?
like how this guy
Sound of
Sound of
Freedom?
Freedom. Yeah. Like
Yeah, it's a...
it's no, it's a disgusting movie. It's so disgusting, but like I feel like it's necessary for people to watch, to be honest.
Now that
But
sounds. I was a sociology major in school, and poverty and stuff like that. It's like right up my alley.
Yeah, no, I
yeah.
mean, it's... I guess what's... Oh, God, I mean, if Donald Trump was... he would be a Geistkranken for sure.
You're right, right. The craziest people are in power. I mean,
Yeah.
let's look at it. You know, let's really.
I thought, like, Brecken was the scariest one out of all of them, because he's just like this... Well, I mean, I don't want to sound like I'm disgusted by fat people, but it's just like... He can literally seduce people.
Yeah, I'm
like,
disgusted by myself every day. Actually,
he literally can just go like, "Hey, buddy, come and join my crew of degraded, disgusting maniacs," and or the
You
only
drop
slaves I have
everything.
here, and just indulge in the most depraved things possible, and he can just easily get people to join him. I guess that's what scared me.
I was just like, did I just read an excrement orgy? Like, come on, like that.
So,
You
and
just.
like
Yeah.
there's like a little throwaway line where he's like, "Oh yeah, people would just shit while they were walking." I'm like, "Oh God." Ugh. Again,
It's like El Brecken for me was kind of the worst because like I feel like with him like a lot of his stuff there were like children involved and stuff.
So yeah, that's what I was gonna
That
say.
was
I
why
mean,
I was
once you
like
go that you are automatically my worst
yeah,
person.
once
exactly.
and then
Yeah, it's
like
like this guy's a
the
In
fucking...
most
scene
books, like if you're that
this
guy, man, I don't want to
yeah,
read
then
about
it's like
you.
yeah,
Okay?
you don't have anything. There's nothing
I
forgivable
want to
about you.
read where you get your fingers cut off,
Yeah,
ditch
and then
by ditch.
like how he tortured Morgan.
Oh my
Oh my
God.
God, like he was trying to
Yeah.
break
So it
like it
touches
was
on
so
it back in.
difficult to read.
So when I first read it, I didn't think he really got messed up that much, but it does. Start
You need to
Mirror's
read, you
truth.
need to read, you need
Morgan
to
was definitely
I
traumatized by that beating he received.
so Dan, when you're done with Mirror's Truth, like we 100% should talk about it
Yeah,
because
definitely,
the
bro.
way it ended, oh my God. The way it ended, and then no one has read book 3 yet,
I've
but like
heard Mirror's truth is better than, and you know what? I'm getting the vibe. I'm really enjoying it.
I feel like the
Especially
writing is better, but like there are some elements that that I really enjoyed in book 1 that aren't in book 2. But like let's talk about it when we can talk about it really, because as a statement I would like to defend, but like I can't defend it because I don't want to spoil anything.
Well, Morgan, like I said earlier, he's kind of I kind of viewed him as a pretty dark deconstruction of like the chosen one, like child, you know, Jesus thing, or I don't know what. Well, they were gonna make Morgan into a god.
The chosen perfect one with one big defect.
Yeah, and he's very obsessed with cleanliness. So obviously he has to hang out with a bunch of dirty and disgusting mercenaries for a good majority of the book. It's wonderful.
We can look at that as the fantasy, as fantasy theme as well when we talk about tropes. You know, that chosen one trope being, you know, the kid that can't, the clean one, right? The kid that the good kid that didn't do anything wrong, that, you know, would lay his, you know, his cloak down for an old lady to walk over a puddle. And he is playing with that chosen one trope here with Morgan, and then
Gahern, I probably felt the most bad for, because like they were the only two kind of were robbed of choice.
Morgan, yeah, I can.
Yeah.
And you can see, and that's the thing, because we are provided with that picture into her background, as well as her current state and her current mind, you can see why she's one of the most powerful ones, you know, on the pages, because the crazier you are, the more anger, the more trauma, the more powerful you are, and
like,
she is
Koenig's afraid
the most
of
powerful.
Gahern.
Yep.
Afraid of when, like, cause she was on the edge of
losing control.
yeah, she was on the
Forget
edge,
what
so
they
he
call it.
didn't
They call
want
it
her
something.
to. Yeah, I forget the name. Yeah, but like she was on the edge, and like he didn't want her exploding in his city. That's why he sent her out to, like, he would like go and like blow up somewhere else, you know.
I mean, to be honest, I don't even know if I don't even know if I know what happened to Koenig. I thought like Morgan would come back and just like bitch slap him with his new god powers, but I guess not. Well, I guess he kind of did.
But you need to read. You need to read
I
Mirror.
guess he did.
Read
Yeah, after that,
Remember,
he's
we
like,
did discuss that nobody really dies in this book, right?
Yeah,
There's
Yeah.
always
I
an
mean,
after-death to an after-death here.
there's a bunch of
I
people.
know
Which is something
the
interesting to discuss, because, you know, that does take feelings away for readers. You know, we are invested in 3 characters, you know, 4, maybe even 5 characters. But with a world like this, if something should happen to those characters, how are you know, is it going to impact us as much, because we know about this world and how there is an after death, and nobody really goes nowhere.
So, as someone who has read the trilogy, I would say keep reading. You get your questions answered. That's
Great.
one, and
That's
two is just like um in this world there are so many things worse than death. Like, so it's like
you know,
it's
you're right. Yeah.
there are so many things worse than death. So it's just like death is not like it's not the ultimate. Like, it's not like that's it. Because, like, imagine you get caught up with Gahern. I said Gahern, like Elbrecken. Like, that's worse than death. Like,
Yeah. Being in
because
that part, yeah, in his.
those guys were like, think about it, those guys were conscious, right? But like, there was a part of them that was aware of every disgusting, messed up things they were doing while they were part of his slave herd, but they couldn't help themselves. Like, that idea is so terrifying to me.
Again,
Like, just like the
it's
lack
like
of
Jessica
control, like,
Jones with Kilgrave. You know, it's like you can't. It's like you're a prisoner in your own body. It's
yes,
terrifying.
like, you, if actual prisoner in your own body, and even someone as powerful as Gahern was not immune, and I don't even think someone like Koenig would have been immune. Like, Morgan was going to break, like, eventually, like, are you like, it's just,
Ern was getting close to breaking him.
yeah.
Breaking his hold on
Yeah,
him.
yeah, yeah, Gahern was getting close to break, but I also believe it's because Gahern was, her insanity was, she was about to blow up
Yeah,
anyway.
so the best part about the if you guys remember that part, Gurn's sitting there, and she's just like, no, he doesn't love me, and he's like, and she's like, that herein again lies this, not, genius that is Fletcher, using the her past traumas and her inner dialogue to talk her out of the right thing to do. And she's basically in an abusive relationship, and we have these men and women who are physically abused but don't go anywhere because they swear nobody else is going to love them. And it's this is a consistent thing that happens in these codependent abusive relationship. And it was just interesting, that inner dialogue with her sitting on the cusp of breaking his hold on her, and her's like, but nobody's gonna love me, and she still stayed.
Yeah, I know.
And
Like,
it was just this very good
oh,
job.
yes,
Yeah,
like you
it's
see,
really uncomfortable. It's just
it's
like,
so.
oh, I was just saying, it's really uncomfortable because it's just like, like I've seen situations like that. But what were you saying, Epic?
Yeah. No, I was just saying, like, and then, like, what something else that makes Gahan such a sympathetic character was that, like, throughout, even with her trauma, even despite her trauma with everything she's been through and everything, and like how much self-hatred she felt within herself, right? Like, she wanted to make sure Morgan's purity, quote unquote, was preserved, because she saw Morgan as like this guy, like, when remember how pissed she was when she saw, like, what Gahern was doing to Morgan. And then that was when she lost it. Like, that was when her power went. That was when she was like, yes, now is the time to just fucking, like, burn everything
I
to
think
cinder.
that's the point, that she addressed her trauma. So with
Yeah.
this, like I hate to keep beating a dead horse here, but with her relationship, Gurn and Gerbrecken, um, Gurn's father beat her. Gurn's father abused her physically in different ways, and now she is falling for a man that is doing the same exact shit. And she, that's what she sees as love. Is this expression of love, this violence, this, abuse. So she stays there, but then, as you were saying, she finally, Morgan was Gerbrechen. Morgan was that innocent, and Gurn was that innocent girl before the father. They gave her story that the father, I think, around 13 or something, started abusing her and burning her as well. So she sees Morgan as herself, that innocent child, being broken by Gerbrechen, where she was broken by her father, and all of a sudden, boom.
Yeah, and
She makes the
she couldn't
decision.
allow it. She couldn't allow
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, I mean, there's even one scene where the dude's just taking his shit, and Gerbracken, for no reason, he's just like, "All right, you stop that." He's like,
I mean, who doesn't like a good shit scene? I mean, he didn't really
"There's a couple in there." I mean,
describe it.
Oh my
I
God.
didn't, I thought
and
he
it's
would
so
have
blunt
given
too.
me,
He's like, "Oh yeah, there's
you know,
some just
a
shat like on the
corn or a
ground." I'm
nut,
like, "Oh okay."
description, but I didn't get any of that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like
this
Fletcher.
definitely was filth. There was a lot of filth in
Oh
this, and
man,
I
I
could
wanted
have
you
definitely
were.
used a shower or two after reading quite a few scenes in this one.
You were
I,
right, Dan. I wanted to take a shower, a very long and thorough one, after reading Beyond Redemption, because yeah, heebie-jeebies.
yeah. Like,
But yeah,
and
he's definitely. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
no, go ahead. Go ahead.
I just like this these authors taking risks. I
Mm-hmm.
think that don't give me a book where they don't. Um, I don't think I'm going to enjoy it. And that this. I believe, at least what I've read from Fletcher, is that Fletcher has taken risks, but he has he was successful in taking those risks, at least in the two books that I've read. Like Mieville was successful in taking risks in Perdido Street Station. However, I don't think he was as successful in the Kraken. But I love seeing these authors do something different. I feel you do definitely find that within this story. And like I said, Fletcher's not like the most poetic of writers, but he is an efficient writer.
Very Abercrombie-esque, I thought.
Yeah, I believe if you were to compare him to somebody, I think Abercrombie would definitely be him and Abercrombie would definitely be in the same category, just because of the character work and their tones. I think a lot of it compares to the first Law World. This world of Selvatas or whatever we're in. I think is the writing styles are very similar between Fletcher and Abercrombie. Yeah. Abercrombie does, nudge him out in humor. However, Abercrombie might have inner dialogue, but relationships, I think Fletcher does an excellent job with relationships.
Yeah. I mean, there's one scene where the what was that? The creature that basically pretends to be Bedek's father basically shows up and sits down and is like, "Hey, go save that kid." And he's like, "Do I really have to?" And he's all like, "Yes, you do." And he's like, "Fine." Then he walks over there, just starts murders Erbreken, and then you're like, okay, this is gonna be the big showdown. And that's another thing I like about this book. He never does what you think he's gonna do. Fletcher, that is.
Yeah, I like how how Bedekt hyped himself was like when Bedekt was immune. He was immune to a record because they let once the rage took over, he was not even about he wasn't
yeah, I like that as well. It's like he knows who
he is. I like that as well. Yeah, he knows who he is.
He knows that he's not susceptible to, and I like that he's smart and he knows a lot, even though he's kind of presents himself as this, I just thrash heads,
You guys, how uncomfortable was his sexy with Taylor?
Oh God! Talk about.
Glad they finally got it out.
It's kind of fitting though, because they're both
It was raining. Was it raining during that scene?
I think it was, and they're just.
I
think that was the best part because I kept thinking how the stench between those two would have just been horrific. So I'm glad it was raining during that scene.
Yeah, and then it was weird that Wistig was kind of jealous and started acting shy.
Wistig really does want to do Stellan.
And I like how Wistig's I can't believe he chose her. It's aren't you the one who's always being you're ugly,
I'm sorry, but was Bedek raped?
Was he?
I'm going with a yes.
I think so, yes.
I'm going with a yes.
She was.
I think Stellan straight up raped him. Definitely happened.
I wouldn't be surprised.
He was too drunk to give consent.
Yeah, I
don't even think he remembered.
I like how he veers in and out, and he's like, "Wait, what's going on?" Oh, okay. And he just kind of blacks out again, and he wakes up.
I hate to be that guy. I gotta wrap up, guys, in a little bit. So.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if there's much else to talk about. Well.
No, there's definitely something to talk about. He fucking mirrors truth, and we should do this again.
Yeah, once you guys read, I feel like you guys, we need to have this discussion, again after Mirrors Truth, because there's so much that I want to say, but I can't say, and I'm being very, very careful.
The funny thing is Epic, you can just tell by your face.
Yeah.
Really
you know when you're you don't want to spoil something for somebody, and we're all sitting here talking books, and you're listening to the person, and all of a sudden you're they say something, and you're you want to say, and all of a sudden this big shit-eating grin comes across your face. You're
Yeah.
And then you go like double dutch to say something. You're like, fuck, I don't want to spoil nothing, but I got something I want to say. I want to talk about
it's
this.
like the
You
red
know?
wedding, you know. You're just like, oh man.
Right, and
Yeah.
like try not to discuss that. You're like, oh, you don't even know what you're in for. You know,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah, no, I mean,
you can
You
just tell by
don't
your the
even know
person's
what you're in
mannerisms.
for. You don't even know what you're in for. Like
I
I'd
will
say
say
Mirror's Truth is such a left turn.
I will say I've seen the cover art for Mirror's Truth, and I have to say I'm sticking with my boy Richard Anderson as the preferred cover art. But
Yes, that's dope.
But
Gives
yeah,
it doesn't give the right message. I don't.
yeah, I know. It
Yeah.
kind of looks like a western.
You know what? But I think cover really helps the tone. I think it does give that gritty western kind of dirty vibe, I thought. So when I started, because of that cover, when I started reading, I already had this desert-esque prairie setting that I thought worked really well when I started reading.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
I mean,
For
Yeah,
sure.
we should definitely do this for Mirror's Truth.
oh, definitely. Well, no,
When
after-
it,
Do you wanna
did
do
Fletcher's
you, do you
book
wanna
already
do
drop?
so do you wanna it I think it's dropping by the end of this month if it hasn't already dropped.
I think
But
it's close because I really wanted to come out with my review the day it drops, but I feel bad. I'm so far behind.
so well, why don't we do this, and like if this works for you, fine. Like if not, like then why don't we do like a Barrels Truth discussion on your channel, and then we'll do like the final book discussion on my channel, so that like we have like we each create content on each other's channels and
all
stuff.
right, I might have to.
When
get the
can
other
you
two
get in
books,
Mirror's
'cause,
Truth, Britton?
You know, after this conversation, I might actually like go and get it soon because I don't know. Because I mean, this is fun, and there was some like Koenig, for instance. I think was.
I like these comments because at least you know that when you start when you hit me up to like, oh, let's chop this book up, right? And you're like, it's gonna be Beyond Redemption. I'm like, oh great, I can be my fucking self. It's
Yeah,
not like you're
yeah.
calling me like, yo, let's review Hob. And because then you're like, oh, there's going to be a lot of people that are probably going to watch this that might not get my joke about the wanting the number of the woman that was jerking Gerbrekin off. You know what I mean? So I'm glad I could be myself, and just say what I would. Because if you're doing a Fletcher review, chances are you can drop a fuck or two here.
I mean,
Yeah.
I know you two love Beyond Redemption. I really, really liked it myself. I thought like this is one of the most unique fantasy novels I've read in a while. I'll put it that way. Well, I mean, I probably won't be reading like Mirror's Truth soon because like I have my October horror readathon going on, but definitely is something I would like to do in the future because I like Fletcher's style. I actually became acquainted with him, and we talked a little bit about Beyond Redemption. I actually asked him if I literally just like I remember when I had Dan on Britain's Hangout Hour. He's like, I just walked up to him and was like my boy. I just talked to this guy like he was my boy. And I'm like, you know what?
I do that a lot.
I'm just gonna fucking go for it here, and I'm just like, so did you just literally write this book to be as disgusting and depraved as possible? And literally he sent a really great response, and he said, nope, the thought never crossed my mind. I had this idea in a dark place at the time, that stories with character arcs were bullshit, and that most people were basically incapable of learning. I had the title before I wrote the first word, which, wow. The whole point was to write a story about characters who were beyond redemption. I wanted people who clung to their illusions/delusions because that's what I saw every day. The characters were me fucking around with the typical tropes: the aging axeman, the great swordsman, the thief, the innocent child who will save the world. I didn't even realize it was disgusting until after.
He wrote all this to you?
Yeah, he did. Yeah, Bedek's head cold wasn't even an attempt at being disgusting. It was an old man with a cold. And part of a reaction to all the people with washboard abs and great hair heroic fantasy. I wanted ugly people who were incapable of learning from their many mistakes. And I'm like,
Wanted ugly people fucking, and I really
fucking lady
applaud.
jerking this fat,
I
disgusting
applaud
bastard off, and then fucking, oh god, it's still just. Oh.
Yeah, I
still,
see
like,
that was the one that got you.
Yeah, I was like, dude, oh, he's a twisted bastard, man. That's all I'll say. He can be. I also like the terminology, like, you know, pig sticker and shit. That was funny.
Yeah, the swearing is so nice. So creative.
No.
You shite and arse the whole time, and I just thought that really provided atmosphere. I liked substituting shite and arse for ass and shit. I just think that's a gangster move.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think we talked about all we could talk about for this book. You know, I mean, well,
I
aside
could
from
probably go.
Koenig,
yeah.
but I mean, we probably could go on. But yeah, I think so.
What did we miss? Did we miss a big character? We really didn't even touch on Witchtig that much. You know, we did.
And
A little
Witchtig is like
Witchtig's a great character.
It's such a great character. Such a great character.
He
Like
reminds me
and
a
I
lot of
think
Morbius
his story arc
from-
opens up
time-
in Mirror's Truth too, right?
Every time I got into Wishtig's point of view, I just had like a grin on my face because
Right,
I knew I
you
was
couldn't
going
help
to
but
laugh.
smile.
Yes,
Because you
like,
knew what he was. You know he was lying to himself the whole time.
He's
You
like,
just
man,
thought it was
I can't
hysterical.
believe that they're not doing it. I'm like, I'm such a good friend to them. I'm like, oh my god, dude,
I'm such a good friend. That was another delusion.
He's like, I can't believe they haven't rewarded my loyalty. This guy
But
fucking
that's the
left my
thing.
ass.
You know there are people out there just like that.
I know,
Like,
it's,
I'm
man.
such a good friend to them, and this is like, I just love how, fleshed out the characters are. Believable.
Now I want to read Mirror's Truth, and I'll see.
Yeah,
if
get
that's-
on it. I'm reading it now. I'm gonna wrap up tonight, though. I don't think I'm gonna read anything.
There's no time limit on this, so we can have multiple discussions about it. But like when you're done with Mirror Street, I need someone to talk about this book too. So like we should do a discussion. 100.
All right, definitely. It's
Sorry, I was cutting out there.
No, but yeah, it's been fun. If you guys want to share your social media before we get going here, feel free.
Well, it's EpicTalez, and
you have a
EpicTalez.
motion comic? I didn't mean to interrupt you, but you got a motion comic going. Feel free to talk about that if you want a little bit.
So like last month I was doing like a campaign to raise some money because like working with artists, working with like composers, working with it costs a lot of money. Like this is what I'm passionate about doing, like trying to create like a different medium to share stories with, one that is more like seamless with the social media platforms, so motion comics, but it takes a lot of time and money to do so. I was working with an author on my Discord, and I'm trying to like bring his story to life, and it was a successful campaign. Like Dan, thank you so much for your retweet. When you posted that retweet, it made a difference. Britain as well, like you guys were wonderful, like really grateful for your support. It was successful, and like I'm going to be working on that project as well as working with other authors to like do motion comics of their stuff. I haven't quite spoken to Michael Fletcher yet, but creating a motion comic of everything we just talked about.
I think he would
Such
love
a
to do
huge
something
dream.
like that. Yeah.
No, he said he would love. He actually came out. He told me that he would love for that, but like I haven't discussed I haven't discussed it yet with him because I need to create a system, like a system that is like professional and will 100% work, no excuses, but like I'm trying to build that, and like check out my channel EpicTalez on YouTube. I think my shit is dope, so yeah, like check me out.
Yeah, I can back him up on that. His shit is fucking dope. Yeah, my name is Dan. You can find me at the Black and Blue Collar Reader. I drop videos whenever the hell I want to drop videos, so I'm gonna have one coming soon. Dan. What's that?
I've missed your videos, Dan.
Yeah, you know what? You know, and we're talking about Beyond Redemption and people with insecurities. You know, I suffer from that shit too. I don't sit there when I make a video. Like, I don't want to put out bullshit. I don't want to seem like I'm uneducated, and this is definitely an area that I am not as educated as many people that do what I do are. But I'm gonna keep pushing them out. I got some things in the works. I got a lot of books. The reason, full transparency, I haven't dropped a video because I got Libby and I got Kindle, and I connected to my local library, and all of a sudden I have all these fucking free books, and I just can't
Yo, that
stop
sounds pretty cool,
reading
actually.
and then listening to, I'm getting into audiobooks. So now most of the books I've consumed in the last 3 months have been audiobooks, surprisingly, after not consuming any audio my entire life. But I have a free library of audiobooks, and I'm just in the endless fucking void of audiobooks, just listening like, hey, do I like this? Okay, no. And just going on and on and on. So, getting a lot of reading done, but I have taken a bit of sabbatical. I will drop a video shortly. You can find me on Black and Blue Collar Reader on YouTube. That's about it.
All right. Well, I mean, you can find me on Twitter and Letterboxd and Goodreads, where I also write reviews that are probably more coherent than the one you just heard right now, and Discord. You can find me there. But
And if you guys if you like incoherent reviews, I'm that dude. Like, come by, come by my channel. It don't get any more incoherent than my ass.
So I'm gonna be straight up about Dan's channel. So like Dan's channel is and I have nothing else to compare it to, but like with compared to other booktube channels, his channel is very interesting to watch. He always keeps it entertaining. It's like you can watch, he's the kind of YouTuber that you can just enjoy watching him just for his personality. He has a great sense of humor, like, and his channel is really, really dope. And check check it out. And
It's hard
yeah,
to keep that personality up. You know what I mean? When you're just, when you're just not like, fuck, I gotta be funny again. God, I've given you guys gold for 6 months now. I'm gonna take a month off. All right, don't hit me up.
I mean, I'd say you're pretty naturally funny, Dan.
yeah.
I mean,
I think
listen,
it comes off as natural, man.
some people, we're in this game of people that have masters and we got some doctorates in this booktube game.
I know.
Like, I got a doctorate in comedy. I grew up on the. I can break some balls. I can be funny. I'm a weird guy, so the humor comes naturally. But this reviewing books does not, and it takes me a long time. I will, because I at first I didn't want to write nothing down, but I also wanted people to get something out of what I put out there. So I wanted structure, and I'm finding my way as I go.
Yeah, I love that line from your Beyond Redemption review. 5-star meal from Jeffrey Dahmer. I'm just like,
5-star meal.
So good.
Yep.
Oh, man. This has been fun, though. Now I think about it, we should do a conversation on Mirror's Truth. And
I really
know the
hope you
other one.
put this one out as soon as possible. Hopefully you can give him a little, give Fletcher a little bit of clout before his book comes out.
Yeah.
If you're able to get this one out in the next couple of days, that might help him out. That would be cool.
I will, and I'm pretty sure I can get him on my channel. Like, I'm pretty sure, like, well, I'm not pretty sure, but like I have custom DMs with him, yeah. So, like,
I would love
like,
for all three of us, to finish all of them, and for all of us to have them on. I think
That would
Yeah,
be awesome. I actually thought about it. I'm like, should I get him on? Because I just friended him on Discord. But I'm like, you know what? Let's just have us do it first. And then if, like, you want to do a thing later,
Yeah, he's definitely one of the author. Like I've never reached out to any author to come on my channel or anything like that, but he would be one of the first, I believe.
Yeah,
And
has to be.
But
Has to be, and multiple appearances too. Like,
yeah,
you know.
I would be too intimidated to ask Baker, but I would definitely ask Fletch because he seems like a cool guy.
Well, if you find a way to contact Baker, let me know because, like,
Oh.
I don't know where to find this man.
We got the feeler. we got the feelers out there.
But
man.
yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this, and hey, we might do one for Mirror's Truth. Now I'm definitely looking forward to that. So
Yeah.
I don't know if I won't make any promises that I'll get to it this year because you know there's a bunch of stuff I want to get to, but definitely will do it. So yeah.
No, I want to fucking promise now, right now, dude.
Yeah.
All right,
100%.
we'll take care, everyone.
All right, guys.
Stay epic.